Hello everybody, this is my CZW Tournament of Death 8 review. You can pick this up at smartmarkvideo.com. It's from 2009 and is the latest installment in the ultraviolet porn collection from CZW, which I just love paying for. And I really do, because it's quite enjoyable once you get over the whole moral, ethical dilemma, I guess, if there is one. I don't know. I threw them out the window a long time ago. But I'll get straight into it. And I won't cover the matches in depth too much because I don't think I have enough time, so bear with me. I'll be mostly just giving out star ratings and just talking about my general thoughts on the match, not talking about the spots so much. But we started off with a no-roped barbed wire fire match between Deranged and Nick Gage, and whenever I see a fire match, I'm like, somebody's either going to not get burnt at all, and the match will be quite shitty because I thought someone would die, or someone would get engulfed in flames a la Shadow WX in Big Japan Pro Wrestling. I was hoping for the latter, really, and I knew Nick Gage would probably be going through, so I was hoping Deranged would get engulfed in flames. And I hope he would survive or something, but he could always come back as the ultraviolet burn victim later on. That would be his new gimmick, and he'd get a ton of respect from the fans. But the match itself, it started off quite poorly, and the flaming pieces of wood with cloth on them on the barbed wire ropes went out before they were really used. The two main fire spots were Billy Graham blowing fire aimed at Nick Gage and hitting Deranged, who he was managing, and a flaming chair shot to the head, which I thought was very good and I enjoyed quite a bit. Match itself, I'll give 2 3/4 stars for that. Not just for the fire spots, but I thought the match was okay itself. Then we had a thumbtack kick pads match between xOMG and Scotty Vortekz, not Vortekz. And Drake Younger brought his ass out and said, hey, we're going to have a Naptown Dragons reunion, just without that other one we don't want to talk about too much. And the match that ensued was actually very good. There were some crazy spots in it. Glass being involved, xOMG getting the shit kicked out of him with the thumbtack kick pads. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really great, and I thought, wow, that was a really good death match. Because it wasn't too heavily reliant on weapons and just hitting each other in the head with light tubes and stuff. I thought it was just really well put together. 3.5 stars for that. Then we had a light tubes and barbed wire boards match. Toby Klein, I really love. Everyone knows I love him. Wax, I thought has gotten a lot better than he used to be. And he started, early on in the match, he jumped off the apron or from the ring level into Toby Klein and landed on his head. He did it later on in the night as well, and I thought, oh god, he must have broken his neck, and that's exactly what I thought later on in the night when he did in his next match. So yeah, he advanced. I thought the match itself was there. It was alright. It wasn't the worst match, but definitely better than your average death match, so 3 stars for that. There was lots of people going through barbed wire boards and light tubes, so there is always that. Then we had a Pane in the glass. I'll see what they did there. Match between Dysfunction and Havoc. People were not too keen on Dysfunction because obviously not a lot of people knew who he was. But the match itself turned out to be really, really, really good. Dysfunction and Havoc worked together just really fucking well. It was a really well put together match. It didn't just go straight into hitting each other in the head with light tubes and stuff. There was a little bit of wrestling, just a little bit. And yeah, they started then throwing each other through panes of glass, and it was done really well. And there wasn't any botching, so yeah, 3.5 stars for that. 2 thumbs up. I really enjoyed it. Then we had a dining room death match between John Moxley and Brain Damage. This match was just really average for me. There was nothing. There was some plates going onto her head, and the only thing that I really remember about the match is Brain Damage using one of those, drilly things with a saw on it. Oh god, I've got one in the garage and I can't even remember it. Oh, whatever. I guess what it is doesn't actually matter. All that matters is he used it on John Moxley, and it was the only thing I remember from the match. 2.25 stars for that. Quite average. Sami Callihan came in and interfered and helped John Moxley win. And the crowd hated both John Moxley and Sami Callihan for such. Next match was the standout match of the night. Thumbtack Jack versus DJ Hyde. Now, the match started off fairly average. There wasn't really much to it. And this is the match that most people remember for having the syringes in it. Now, the thing is with the syringes, I thought they were really safely done. There was nothing too dangerous about them. They weren't covered in blood or anything and then being reused. That was later on in the night in the Nick Gage match, the final that Thumbtack Jack got into. But they used it and they were clean. And yeah, the crowd went nuts for them. And the thing is, they were fairly safe in terms of it's not going to hit an artery and you're going to piss out blood everywhere. And Thumbtack Jack filled some with kerosene and put on a pane of glass and got powerbombed while the glass was flaming through it, and that was just an amazing spot. The Cinderblocks, he took a bump on the Cinderblocks. The Cinderblocks weren't used too much until they weren't really used, and I never usually liked Cinderblocks in death matches until the end, where Thumbtack Jack stabbed the actual needles into the head of DJ Hyde, and then took a chair, and I thought he was going to hit him with a chair. I'm like, oh god, that's just too much. And then he took a Cinderblock and hit DJ Hyde in the head where the needles were with the Cinderblock, and I went, oh god, that is fucked up. But I'll give the match 4 stars. But that ending, that was just absolutely fucking sickening. I don't know if I like it or dislike it, but it looked like it really fucked DJ Hyde up. And I don't like seeing wrestlers get too fucked up. The next matchup was one of the semi-finals, and that was a Fans Bring the Weapons match, first of 2, a 3-way between Nick Gage, Jon Moxley, and Scotty Vortekz. Nick Gage and Scotty Vortekz being the faces and Jon Moxley being the heel. I was surprised Sami Callihan didn't interfere in this match. Fans Bring the Weapons matches are always quite funny for me because there's no recurring theme in the match. It's just a bunch of shit that they use as weapons, and that's kind of what it felt like outside of one really major spot from Scotty Vortekz diving from the top of the ladder, doing a knee drop onto Nick Gage with his knees, and then Nick Gage, eventually winning the match by power driving Jon Moxley onto a bunch of light tubes. But 2 3/4 stars for that match. I enjoyed it for the most part, but I think it was kind of just average outside of a few things in it. And then the second semi-final was another Fans Bring the Weapons match between Wax, Danny Havoc, and Thumbtack Jack. This match wasn't as average. I thought it was a lot better, but I was a bit disappointed seeing Thumbtack Jack no-sell a double stomp from Danny Havoc onto the back of the head. He was standing up, obviously, because you didn't want to crush his skull or anything. But at the start of the match, as Thumbtack Jack was getting in the ring, Wax nearly broke his neck again when he speared Thumbtack Jack while holding a bunch of light tubes to the ground, and then he fell out of the ring and, doing the spear, and hit his head on the ground, fell head first. I'm thinking, can this guy take a bump without landing on the top of his fucking head and nearly breaking his neck? I don't know. I was also surprised that Danny Havoc was the one taking the pin from a pretty simple move onto a barbed wire board. It was picked him up for the suplex and dropped him face first onto it and got the pin. 3 stars for the match. I thought it was better than the match before that, but once again, there was some pretty crazy, stuff in it, and a little bit more enjoyable than the match before as a whole, because the workers are, in my opinion, were able to, kind of gel together a lot better. Next were the non-tournament matches. First of being Alex Colon versus Tyler Veritas. I don't know how you say it, but this match was pretty much shit all over by the fans because it wasn't a death match. I thought the match itself was okay, but the fans not getting into it at all was kind of shit. There were some chairs used in a pretty nifty way, so I guess I'll give it 2 3/4 for that. And because it was an actual pretty decently wrestled match, I think Alex Collins pretty good, and Tyler Veritas I've not seen much of. Next match was Devon versus Greg Excellent. I don't really need to say much about it. It was just there on the card, 1.5 stars, except for Greg Excellent using a cyborg fist that popped out like a gun type thing. That was the only thing that I can really remember about it being that, the only thing that really stood out in my mind about it. And then the next match was Sami Callihan versus Trent Acid. Sami Callihan was obviously the heel, but Trent Acid tried cutting a promo saying, I'm not going to go through light tubes and through barbed wire. And the fans automatically started booing him and saying, fuck him up, Sami, fuck him up. And so, were you not getting what I was trying to say? He was trying to say, while I'm not doing all the crazy shit, this match is still very important because it's #1 contendership for the CZW title. But, yeah, whatever. They then air horned Sami Callihan whenever he tried speaking, and I thought that was pretty amusing at least. But yeah, the match itself was okay, but I'll have to bump it down 1/4 star because the fans were pretty much just, not into it because it wasn't a death match. So I'll give it 2 3/4 for that, for effort. And it was, if the crowd had been into it, it would have been 3 stars, maybe more potentially. Then we had a light tubes and panes of glass match between Nick Gage and Thumbtack Jack. Nick Gage was saying before the match, I'm really going to fuck Thumbtack Jack up. I don't care. He's going to die. I'm going to break his jaw, pull his eye out, fuck him up. And he was really threatening and sounded really sincere about it for wrestling. You know, that's quite rare. And then Thumbtack Jack came out pretty fucked up with the German flag, and he wiped his ass with the German flag. And after old Nick Gage is talking, the match started off, and in about 3 or 4 minutes in, he was walking backstage bleeding from the armpit and had to get taken home by hospital. So that was kind of weird. And I can't really rate this match because it was just fucking absolute chaos at the end because you didn't know what was going on. So, yeah, that gets a chaos rating from me. I don't know if that's good or bad. It's just, you can't rate it. That's what injuries can do to matches, especially in death matches where people need immediate medical attention. But I'll give the event as a whole a 7.5 out of 10. I thought the ending really did let it down, but there was a really, really good match, death match being Thumbtack Jack versus DJ Hyde on it. So, yeah, I recommend it.